Guys, forgive me for not putting up videos consistently. I'm still trying to get the hang of this talking to the camera thing, and it just feels so weird. I can be talking to a person in front of them, like crowds of persons, and I don't feel any way. But it's like as soon as it comes on to seeing the camera, it just feel odd. But by the way, big up the YouTubers them that can do this flawlessly. But I perceive that I'm on my way there to becoming like them. So let's just get down to the meat of the matter, right? So today I felt it so heavy on my heart to speak about my Christian walk. You know, basically comparing the person that I was, the person that I was compared to the person that I am today. And I don't want this to be a long video, but it's kind of a story time. This is kind of going to be unscripted, but if you see me looking down, I'm looking at an article that I wrote on my blog. So if you don't already know, I have a blog called ReAlign Blog. It's on my website, TiffanyFR.com. I'll drop a link in the description as well as a comment below. So this version of me that I'm going to reference, it's about a version of me that's circa 10 years ago, a decade ago. And for most persons, when you start out in this world, you don't necessarily have a relationship with God. You hear bits and pieces about God, but you just basically start out as a sinner. Yeah? For my international audience, what I'm saying is, once you're here on this earth, you typically start out as a sinner. You don't really know God. You're just here. You don't really know your purpose. You don't know why you're here. You just know that there was a mother, a father, someone that birthed you, so on and so forth. So growing up, I hated two topics, religion and politics. I hated those topics because it brought about some very heated discussions, not from me per se, but when I see people engage in them, it was so heated. And it was like persons were so divided on those topics. And even though when I was younger, I was a loner, I never really liked to see people divided and, arguing and so forth. So it didn't sit well with me, so I avoided those topics altogether. Now, I grew up in a family that, I'm not going to say it was a Christian family, but it's not like we were atheists. My parents went to church, and naturally, they carried me to church with them when they could or when they wanted to. But I'm going to be very upfront. I never liked the church thing. It is just archaic. It is just judgmental. I felt like the church was full of hypocrites, and I really disliked that. So let's go back to the time when I used to go to school, right? I used to take the JUTC bus. Big up the premium Volvo chauffeurs that I had back then. I used to go to high school. I used to take the public transportation. And, when you live with your parents, for some of us, yeah, we have our own room, we have our own space, whatever you might call it, but it doesn't really feel like your private space. It doesn't really feel like, you can lock the door away and you just lock out everything. So I had my space, but it never really felt too private. So at that time, my house didn't feel like a home. And this is not me throwing flack at my parents. They did the best they could, But it's not every attempt that you make that is going to go the way that you intend for it to go. So yes, my parents made an attempt, but I just felt like an outcast. I felt misunderstood. I just felt like a fish out of water. So I never really felt comfortable at home, and plus there were things going on in the home because that's another video for another time, but focusing on the point. I never felt at home while I was at home. So on my way to school, taking the bus is my time of reprieve, my time of solitude, my time to be me, center myself before I get into this other, chaotic environment that is high school. Because if we know high school is one of the most turbulent times for a lot of teenagers because of the bullying, the maturity, all of the above. So my time spent on the bus, and I live in Portmore, and the school that I attended, which was Arden, it's in Kingston, and it's about a 2-hour drive from my home if I take in the bus, or a 2-hour commute, I should say. So it was like the only 2 hours that I'd have to just get what I mean. And sometimes I just want to sit in silence. I just want to enjoy the bus ride, look outside the window. I always try to get a window seat because I just love looking outside. That's just me. Look outside, just reflect, think on things a bit. So now you tell me, why, upon God green earth, some preachers would come on the bus and start bellowing at the top of them voice. Like, I can just be sitting there perfectly fine looking through the window going, yeah, today is Monday. I have these classes today. Give myself a little pulse check. Just, think on things. And then out of nowhere, let us hear.
The word that sin is dead, and the gift of God is eternal life. 2.5 hours coffee. Hallelujah.
Listen, nobody never did more annoyed than me whenever I hear that. You're sitting there in silence trying to enjoy the little AC, the little scenery. And it's not like, say, we went on a tour while we were heading to wherever, but you just can enjoy nature and look outside world while looking from a certain perspective. But we just start here bellowing like, hello, hear the word of the Lord, praise ye church, or praise ye bus, or whatever the case may be. And it's just so annoying. And the little time of reprieve that I'd have to myself on the bus, it's like it just gets snatched away just like that. And even though let's go come clean. Even though my school didn't allow contrabands, which are like phones, iPads, whatever, I could not help it, but I had to carry something to drown out the noise because I needed that time. I don't think adults really understand sometimes how children need their own quiet time. They need that time to center themselves, and if they don't get it one place, they're gonna try and get it another place. So for me, it was on the bus. I had to get it on the bus. So when I hear the roll call, I just put in my earphones and I say, yeah man, at my time now, I'm gonna listen to some music. But then the type of music that I listened to, it wasn't so edifying. It was edifying, but it really personified how I felt. I used to listen like Lil Wayne. I used to listen like rap heavily, and how them talk about guns, whatever, because the turmoil that was in my heart, it made me connect with that type of music. So anyways, I would just be on the bus. But sometimes when they're on the bus and they're preaching, even though having my music, I might turn it down a bit and say, hear what I say. And then what I must say just never make no sense to me. It's like, Yeah, bits and pieces. Let me give them a little credit. Bits and pieces made sense, but not all I did make sense. And for the life of me, I just could not understand why God, if this same God what them a preach about upon the bus is all powerful, all present and whatever, why are they so poor?
You have a problem with that?
Why does your God make you look so poor? Why does your God make you so loudmouth and can't read the room, or the bus for that matter? Why? Why so many questions? And I was just so annoyed, but skipping past that, my father was the first one out of my family to actually get saved. He baptized and everything, and he was going to this church. And of course, he would encourage us, my mother and my sister, to come to church as well. And me, I was in a church thinking about drop me, I got drop asleep. You know the way they hear it? Yeah, listen, you're like, the amount of time I buck, if I never drop off of that chair, I God hold me upon that chair there. But it just never felt right with me. And even though he got saved, I was watching his Christian life or his Christian walk, and it still felt so, it just never felt like it, really. And at that point in time, as I said 10 years ago, I was in a lot of turmoil. I was so hurt. I was so frustrated. I was so angry, like I know what rock bottom feels like. I don't know if any of you have ever felt this moment where you just want the earth to just open up its mouth and swallow you. At one point in my life, I was even like kind of suicidal, but I was so afraid to go through with it. Yeah, I thought the things them. I just never see the point to life. My parents, we weren't rich. We were doing well. And then recession came, and it was like we weren't doing so well anymore. It's like everything felt like we're pinching. And it just never makes sense to me. I always hear people say, oh, God loves you. And when I would go to church, I would see people saying one thing, but saying another behind a person's back, and the two-mouth thing and the hypocrisy, I hated it. I really did hate it. And it just never made no sense to me. I'm like, the God want me see people that preach about, it makes sense for the dirty ways then when me see the people who attend him church, reflect. It just never add up to me, it never matters. And there I was. At that time, I never could really speak to my parents. As I said, I just felt so misunderstood. And they'd see me as somebody that would challenge them, because when I was younger, I'd ask some very hard questions, and sometimes I wonder like why God made me this way. I just felt like I could never fit in where I went. Could never fit in. And so, of course, I never lived a holy life back then. I lost my virginity at a young age. I used to rebel a lot. But deep inside of me, it was just so much hurt, so much frustration, so much anger. And it didn't help that the same people that were in church that were supposed to be of God, they felt like they were condemning me, And I get that people who are following God, they want to help others to become holy. But come on, I didn't like, and I still don't like when people pretend as if they never yet sinned, as if they never were probably at the place that I once was. And it's like they're so saved to the point where they can't look back and see that, I was here and this is what I did to get through. It's like they just want it to hurt and come up like that. It don't work like that. And I still see this in some churches today where, a teenager, a young person comes into the church and they want to turn their life around. And yes, they might not dress the way that you want them to dress, but love them same way. Love them till they can get to where they need to be, because you just don't know what that person is going through, and you opening your mouth to say, wear them tight pants, they like you. Don't help nobody. And I wasn't going to rage in this video, but I see so many people out there that really want to get their lives together, but they just don't know how. And if you are that one person who is in the church and you're that only representative of God or representation of God that they see, they're not going to want your God. They see you're back-mouthing or bad-mouthing and behind people back-talking. They don't want your God. They're looking at your life. They're looking at how you speak, and they don't want your God. You have to learn to love them. When Jesus was here on earth, what did he do? He parted with sinners, and people remember about it. We say,
a Jesus that can him walk with sinners, you know, say the man is sinner whatever.
You know why? Because he understood where they were and what they needed. And that's what a lot of us as Christians miss out on, and it really irks me and it hurts my heart when people turn away people from the faith. And that's what happened to me. I was turned away from the faith because of how people behaved. And yes, I do get it. I get it. You want people to be holy. But you have to be patient as well. You have to be loving. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. I could go on and on. And at the same time, for those persons who may have been turned away because of people like that, please understand this. Christians are humans. I know they may not act that way, but they really are. And each one of us, we're coming from different walks of life. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says we go from glory to glory, meaning you don't just undo all of what happened in your life in just one night. When you get saved, everything doesn't just go away like that. It's a work in progress. It's a steady incline that you go up. So you might catch someone at step or ring number 3 on the ladder, and they have some bad habits that they're working on, and they just don't really know how to behave as yet. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, just give them some patience. Just exercise some patience to them. But I just want people to understand that the God that we may see from some people is not really the God that exists. There is so much more to God than I would have known if I just focused on the people. I went after God myself by, going to church. I found a church, by the way, that, they have their flaws, but the teaching, the principles, it's so rock solid. And I spent time reading the word for myself. I never want nobody come give me the word like that. I'm gonna just take it as gospel. No, I read it for myself. And yes, it is boring at the start. I'm not going to lie. But what I set out to do is I set a goal for myself. I couldn't really love myself back then. And that's why I had this gaping hole that I was trying to fill with my partners back in the past. Meaning when I had a boyfriend, I would try to live up to their standards, be this great girlfriend, and that's why I ended up giving my all, reluctantly albeit, but I gave my all because I wanted to feel as if I belonged. That's what we all want. We want to feel as if we belong, if we have a place here. but it was a wrong way of going about it, because you can't seek love from man. I'm not saying this as man as in male, but man as in broad, male and female. Man cannot give you the love that you need. Love only comes from God. And you have to dedicate the time to, get to know God. Just like a relationship, when you're getting to know somebody, you have to dedicate that time. I never want to go long, look what it reached 20 minutes. Anyways, so another thing that did annoy me, let me backtrack a bit. Another thing that annoyed me was the fact that these preachers on the bus, every time, they would solicit money. It's like, you serve this all-powerful and all-knowing God, and him can't get money himself.
Hallelujah. You know where money to. You want money to. Demons of hell. You want money to. You want money to.
Oh, that matters. Oh, it does never matter to me. It really didn't matter. It's like each time you come and you shout, and then at the end you're like, give, God would bless you. Like, I never like the manipulation, and I still don't like it. It just, anyways, going back to what I was saying, back to my life, about 10 years ago, I was broken, really broken. I was hurt. I had a gaping hole inside of me, inside of my heart, wherever it rested. And no matter how many relationships I had, the hole just could not be filled. It felt like I had a square piece trying to fit into a circular place, and it just wouldn't fit for the life of me. And to see the life that my parents were living, and again, I'm not throwing flack on them, but I'm just saying, the life I saw them living, wherein I would just be born, go to school, go to work for the rest of my life, be miserable, go somewhere else, be miserable, and then just die. That did not sit well with me, and I was just like, if there really is a God, I think he make me cut out for this. This is not me, and this is not my portion. And I just always felt like I couldn't fit in at school, at home. I just couldn't. I just couldn't fit in. And each time I share a bit about myself, it kind of breaks me. Not because of me, in terms of I haven't been delivered from my past or my trauma, but because I can feel and I can see the people around me that are going through a similar cycle, a similar season. And it really just breaks my heart, because I want to do this thing that God has called me to do, but I'm coming from a place where I just wanted to be by myself. I was a loner. I never used to like people to that. Like, people like, ugh. Just never wanted to do all of this. I mean, as I said before about going from glory to glory, I still am getting there, but I love people. And it just don't make sense if there was no God for me to just love people like that from where I'm coming from. As I said, it don't make sense how I would be able to achieve all of this on my own. I have a genuine love for people, but I'm coming from a place where I'm a bit timid, because I know how people can be inclined to be like, And it's like I'm still kind of shielding myself away from that. But I really am trying. I really am trying. So at one point when I was at my lowest and I just wanted the ground to just open up and swallow me, I decided that, I'm going to go full force and go after God, because if God loves me, and that's another thing that some preachers will say, that Jesus love you. I never understand what that mean. What that mean? So I decided to go after Jesus for my own self. And if I knew then what I knew now, I would have given my life over long time. God is so much more than we're seeing, than people are portraying him to be. And if I could scream at the top of my lungs to share this information with everybody, I would. But I just wanted to point out that even though I was very annoyed at the preachers and very annoyed at my circumstances, like each trial, each tribulation, each annoyance, each problem, they were like mustard seeds that were planted in my heart. And I didn't even realize that the mustard seed was growing, and that mustard seed was a seed of faith. It was just growing, and I needed the right environment to let that seed bloom. And I found that environment, and that's what this channel is all about. It's all about sharing bits and pieces of my life, as well as word for people to understand who God really is. Because trust me, I was so sick and tired of all the predatory and backbiting that's going on out there. And I really want to show people that God is so much more than that. It's not a matter of, your people always used to say like, oh, you need to go to church. If you're not go to church, whatever. Which part of the Bible said that? There might be places in the Bible that alludes to Christians coming together in a community to fellowship with each other, because you can learn and you can glean from people that are at different levels of the faith and whatever, and they can share their wisdom that you may not have as yet. There is a place for that. But the way they make it seem is as if like if you don't go to church, God not gonna see you. It's like a church alone God exists. It does not make no sense to me. And it was like, oh, okay, let's worship on a Sunday, but let's fling it back, fling it back on a Saturday, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It does not make no sense to me. And that's why I decided to go after God for my own self, because I said, alright, I'm gonna keep this one last go. And I'm glad I did. And it's my sincerest wish, like really sincerest wish, to share it with you guys along the way. So help me as I try to help you guys, right? You can like, share, subscribe this video, subscribe to this channel. Sorry, see there? I'm not even get lingo right. Let's try again. You can like, comment, share this with other persons who you may think or believe would benefit from this. And come on guys, share, because if I know myself back then, I would see a video like this and it would connect with me, but now I share it. But guys, please share it. You don't know who may need to hear it. You don't know who may need to see it. I know it's me asking you to come out to your comfort zone, but please, as I said, but then I was suicidal, and I was afraid to do it because I was afraid of, actually dying, and I was afraid of the consequence. But you just don't know how far along people are. So journey with me and pray that I get over this talking to the camera thing, because it is still so awkward to me. Anyways, my name is Tiffany, I'm your hope dealer from Tiffany FR SMC, and right now I'm signing out. And before I sign out, I just want to tell you, big up God every time.